On day 1, I hatched from an egg as a baby Sniffer. Whoa, I can't wait to see how much has changed since I was last in this world. Suddenly, a warden landed right in front of me and said,
"If you don't defeat me in 100 days, I will permanently delete you from the game."
The warden started to attack me using some kind of sonic boom ability and began to chase me. Oh no. I only had 5 hearts, so I definitely could not get hit by any of his attacks, or I was gonna be toast. I ran as fast as I could, doing my best to avoid him. I was able to evade him by running between trees in the forest, and eventually lost him. On day 2, I continued to explore the world when I ran into a player. Excuse me, sir, do you know where I am? The player was startled by my appearance, and then began to attack. Ah! He hit me, dropping me down to 1 heart. I started to run away from the player, hoping he wouldn't defeat me. I spotted a mountain in the distance, and started to run up it. Once I got to the top, I noticed a pool of water at the bottom. I was scared. Oh, man, but I knew I had to jump to avoid him. I jumped off, and he was startled to see me drop to the bottom. I landed in the pool of water and looked around to see where the player was. Oh, my goodness! He's jumping as well! I got out of the water and used his hesitation to get in front of him. I continued to run off until I saw a structure and ran inside. I looked through the windows and watched as the player ran by. Wow, this is seriously a dangerous world to live in now. On day 3, I began to search the lab for anything that could be useful. I began to open the chests that were scattered around. Inside, I found a set of stone tools, as well as a journal that belonged to Dr. Blocks? Huh, sounds interesting. I opened it up and started to read it.
After years of searching, I was finally able to locate one of the ancient structures that was lost to the times. I was then able to get one of the eggs and bring it back to the surface. Before I was able to hatch the egg, a warden attacked me, so I had to flee before finding out what the egg held. If my understandings are correct, this ancient egg holds a sniffer from a long time ago. The sniffer was known for having an incredible nose that was able to find and dig up ancient seeds that no other mob could find. I know there are more of them out there.
The journal ended, and I realized I had to test these theories out for myself, so I quickly rushed out of the house. I began to use my nose to search the nearby area. I followed the strongest scent I could and ended up in a plains biome. I continued to follow the scent and found myself standing in front of a cow. Oh, sorry, I was just following my nose.
Not cool, man.
Okay, I apologized to the cow and continued to search the area for other scents. I caught one and followed it to a spot in the ground. I dug up the dirt and I found some kind of strange plant that I've never seen before. I grabbed it and ate it. Suddenly, I felt strange and I grew into an adolescent sniffer. Whoa, I even had 10 hearts. That was some strong plant. I tried to search for any more scents that were in the area, but I was unable to find anything. Out of nowhere, an arrow flew past me. What? I turned around to see a massive group of skeletons. The skeletons all started to attack me, and I tried to fight back, but there were way too many of them. I had to flee and find safety. I had run through the night into day 5. I realized I was gonna need a place to live. I collected materials from nearby and used them to start a base. It wasn't much, but I hoped I would be able to find more sniffers and give them a nice place to live. I began to venture out in search of Dr. Blocks and any other sniffer eggs that were in the world. I was traveling for a while when I heard a large roar from behind me. I turned around and it was the warden again. He began to shoot his sonic booms and charge after me. Why? Why are you after me?
I am the newest mob in Minecraft. With you, now all of the attention will be off of me.
You don't want me here because it'll take attention away from you? How petty can you be? I decided I was tired of running from him and confronted him, hitting him with my sword. The warden just laughed though. Oh no. And he launched me in the air. I landed and lost most of my hearts. Okay, in hindsight, that wasn't a great idea. Time to run. As I started to run away, I felt really weak and I collapsed to the ground. On day 6, I woke up in the warden's ancient prison. I looked around and saw there was someone else next to me. I asked them who they were, and they introduced themselves as Dr. Blocks. Hey, I read your journal.
I'm thrilled that you survived. The warden captured me and has been holding me prisoner after discovering your egg.
I thanked him for discovering me, but told him that we had to find a way out of here. The warden would stop at nothing until I'm defeated. Luckily, he said that he'd been here for a while now and realized there was a way they could escape. He had befriended another creature in the cave. Suddenly, a rabbit rascal appeared and started to talk with Dr. Blocks.
Yeah. I gotcha.
The rascal unlocked the cage for us. Dr. Blocks and I escaped the ancient temple and then stopped quickly to talk before he headed back to his lab. Hey, can you point me to where you found my egg?
The structure is not too far from our location now. I didn't have time to search it for other eggs, but maybe you can find one.
I headed to the structure, and when I arrived at the beach, I dove in and followed his instructions to the temple. On day 7, I arrived at the structure and began to search for any eggs or information about my kind. I opened chests and found nothing but a scrap of paper. I grabbed the paper and began to read it. Sniffers dominated the lands before players even existed in the world. Wait, what? When players entered the world, they used them to find ancient seeds that they could craft into powerful potions, as well as food. Eventually, the Sniffers went extinct, and no one is certain why. Their eggs, however, were preserved in various structures around the world. There must be more structures like this in the world. I need to find them. I searched the nearby area and eventually found another structure. I quickly moved inside and found, yes, a Sniffer egg. I took the egg and headed back toward my base. I waited and hoped the egg would hatch soon. Suddenly, a baby Sniffer spawned from the egg.
Oh, where am I?
I told the Sniffer that we were in a much different world than when Sniffers roam free and explained to her what was going on. What's your name by any chance? She said that she couldn't remember. Well, we'll call you Nina. Nina was excited to help out another Sniffer. On day 8, we got to work constructing a place for Nina to live. I built her something that she would be able to grow into, since I knew she would eventually be my size. I headed out to see if there were any more ancient seeds nearby. I wanted to grow again, and I needed to find some for Nina as well. I followed my nose and caught a scent of something nearby. I began to dig around and found various seeds, but no full-grown fruits. I returned to my base, and together, Nina and I started to build a farm to grow all of the ancient seeds I found. After the farm was finished, I started to ask Nina about the past and if she remembered anything from the time long ago.
Unfortunately, the only memories I have are the world I was born into now.
I was glad to know I wasn't the only one who couldn't remember, and was also excited to have found another one of my kind. It's so great to have company around now. Listen, Nina, it's up to us to find the rest of the eggs. We need to make sure our species survives in this new world.
So what should we do?
Okay, you need to stay and watch the base until you grow large. I'm gonna go venture out to explore the world more. On days 9 to 10, I was out exploring the world when I came across a village. I was hesitant at first to go towards it since everything in this world seemed to want me dead. I built up the courage though and headed inside. Hopefully here, I'll be able to find more information about my past. I wandered through the village and noticed that the villagers were looking at me in awe. I started to get nervous that they would attack until one of the villagers approached me.
In my lifetime, I have never thought I would see a Sniffer!
You know what I am? The villager explained to me that before players, villagers and Sniffers would work together to build a peaceful farming community. The villagers provided the Sniffers food and shelter, and in return, the Sniffers would use their nose to uncover new seeds for the villagers to plant. I explained to the villager about the Warden and his plans. In return, he gave me a special bow along with some arrows.
Listen here, young Sniffer. Your eggs are not just located in the water, but there are rumors. They are scattered all over the world in various structures. You need to be careful though. Pillagers will not take a liking to see you as well.
Pillagers, huh? I thanked the villager for all of his information and was preparing to head out when the Warden showed up and began to attack the village. I used my newly acquired bow to fight back against him and noticed it left behind a poison effect that damaged the Warden. The Warden hit me with a sonic boom and I realized I was still not strong enough to last the full fight. I had to flee the village for my own safety. On days 11 to 12, I headed to a nearby cave to get some upgrades. I searched the cave and found iron. After smelting the iron, I used it to craft a pickaxe and sword, as well as an iron chest plate. I heard noises coming from behind me though. What was that? I saw a massive group of zombies and they were running straight towards me. Oh no! I fought back against them using my newly acquired upgrades and was able to take them all down. Phew, that was a close one. I was already starting to feel stronger. As I was leaving the cave, I heard noises from the entrance. I saw a group of pillagers. The pillagers looked at me in shock.
Capture the Sniffer!
What? No! The villager warned me about these guys. I tried to avoid their attacks, but there were too many of them. Something hit me. I'm not feeling great. I think I'm starting to feel woozy. I woke up inside of a cage at a pillager outpost. This is exactly what I was not supposed to do. How could I let this happen? I looked around at all the pillagers staring at me and murmuring to each other. They ran off, but I was approached by a ravager. Hey, we look alike, you know? We both looked at each other and we started to see a lot of similarities. I asked what it was.
It's been a long time.
He continued to say that stories of us had been passed down from generation to generation, but he never believed them to be true. But why would you work for these kind of people? They're so hateful.
We were made for war. All we know now is hate and violence.
I wanted to continue our conversation, but I was interrupted by Steve attacking the outpost. He fought them off before freeing me from my cage. Wait, what? You're on my side now?
You are coming with me.
I'm definitely not going with you. I hit him with my sword and staggered him before running off back toward my base. On days 15 to 16, I arrived and noticed that Nina had also grown into an adolescent sniffer. She told me that she had some of the foods that the seeds turned into before venturing out into the world to find more.
The world is so dangerous and scary, though. I returned empty-handed.
Suddenly, Dr. Blocks came rushing toward my base and told me that the warden attacked his laboratory and destroyed it. Well, I guess he was really mad at him for discovering us. I told him about the villagers and the pillagers, and he informed me that he had also heard of those structures.
I had found something similar to this in my readings. There was a cave that I believed had an ancient structure.
He continued to say that he was too afraid to venture into a cave because he was a peaceful researcher, not a warrior. Yeah, no kidding. I thanked Dr. Blocks for the information and told him that he can stay at our base since he had nowhere else to go. We got to work instructing him a new lab so he could continue his research. Once we finished, I said goodbye and headed toward the cave. On days 17 to 18, I arrived at the entrance of the cave and began to look for any signs of the ancient temple. I started to get a sense of some fruits coming from deeper in the cave. All right, I have to go follow that. I eventually came to a large structure and headed inside of it. I saw a massive farm area of ancient fruit similar to what we had created. How was this possible? We're inside of a cave. I started to collect the fruits from the farm before searching deeper into the structure. I eventually came into a massive room that was filled with chests. I started to search the chests and found more seeds as well as fruits. This must have been what I was smelling. I started to leave, feeling a little disheartened. There were no other sniffer eggs here. But when I stopped, I heard something.
Who enters my domain?
I turned to see a baby sniffer. Wait, who are you? Hey, stop! He hit me, but it didn't really do any damage.
Miros, and I'm the bravest and strongest creature in the world.
I really like this guy's outlook. Hey, buddy, listen, I don't mean any harm. I then told him that I wanted him to come with me to my base. Miros was reluctant, but he said he would enjoy some company. We left the cave and moved back home. On days 19 to 20, Miros and I were traveling on our way home when a group of pillagers ambushed us. I told Miros the coordinates to my base and told him to run off while I held them off. I began to fight back, making sure to avoid as many arrows as possible. As I was fighting, the warden showed up.
Stay back, you pests. He is mine to destroy.
He's ours to capture.
The warden was enraged with what the pillagers were saying. He rushed at them and began to attack. The pillagers fought back against him, and I did my best to avoid the fighting, but more pillagers started to attack me.
Hey, come with me.
I turned and saw Steve was fighting against the pillagers as well. Why? Why would I trust you? You tried to kill me. Steve apologized and told me that he wanted to protect me. I just needed to trust him. Okay, I was scared, but I figured anywhere was more safe than here. Steve and I headed off together. We arrived at Steve's base. He quickly took me inside. I still had my guard up, knowing I could be walking right into a trap. Steve led me to a chest, and then to my surprise, he started dropping me a set of iron armor. Thanks, but why are you helping me now? Steve said earlier he acted on impulse and wanted to know what I was. However, he now realizes that we need to work together.
Legends of your kind were told to me long ago. I only thought it was a myth, and I misjudged you.
He told me that I must defeat the warden and ensure my species survive in Minecraft. I was too ashamed to tell him that the warden actually kind of freaked me out. I quickly changed the subject and offered him some of the ancient seeds I found while I was digging. Steve was amazed and asked what they could be used for. Well, I read that they were once used to craft various potions. Do you think you could do the same?
I can do my best, and whatever I'm able to create, I'll bring it to you.
Awesome. Thank you. But I think it's time that I headed back home. On days 24 to 26, I returned to my base and noticed that it was changed. Nina approached me and told me that while I was gone, Miros had arrived at the base, so they built him a house to stay at. Miros had also brought more ancient seeds, and it looked like together they expanded the farm. Thank you, Nina. Seriously, you guys really did work hard on all all of this. She said that it was the least she can do. I approached Dr. Blocks, and he told me that he'd been doing a lot of research on the Sniffers.
Also, look at this cool invention I made. I call it a tough golem. It is able to hold and pick up items for me in my base.
I mean, it seems pretty useless compared to me.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Anyways.
He told me that he had uncovered another location where sniffer eggs might be located. There was a structure deep in the desert that seemed to follow the same pattern as the other eggs. Okay, I think it's time I go pay that desert a visit. On days 27 to 29, I began our travel through the desert. I felt like I'd been walking for days when I finally spotted the temple in the distance. As I got closer, I noticed there were pillagers outside of it. What were they doing here? I began to shoot arrows at them, poisoning and weakening them. Once they were low, I rushed at them and finished them off with my sword. Phew, that was a close one. I made my way into the temple to find the egg. I entered a large room, and there was an evoker standing right in front of the egg. Hey, that doesn't belong to you. The evoker laughed and said,
With this, I'll be able to create an even more powerful Ravager for our army. Attack him now, you stupid beast!
I saw the Ravager that I spoke to earlier. He looked like he was ready to charge at me. Wait, why? Why would you work for someone who treats you so poorly? The Ravager looked confused by my comment and hesitated. The evoker was angry by this and started to attack me instead. I tried to fight back using my bow, but he was far too strong for me to fight right now. I had no choice but to run away.
Why didn't you attack him, beast? You do as I command you.
On days 30 to 32, I was traveling back to my base, saddened by my inability to stand up to any of my enemies. Man, I can't even defeat an evoker. How am I supposed to take on this warden? I decided it was a good time to get some upgrades for myself. I started to search for diamonds, and I was able to find enough to craft a sword, as well as a pickaxe. As I was leaving, I heard a noise and turned to see the rascal from the ancient city was standing there.
That's one.
That's one what? What's going on? I turned in one direction and began to walk off when I heard him call out that he was ready.
All right, find me again.
Find him again? Okay, I ran back and found him a second time.
All right, one more time.
One more time? What even are you? I walked off before turning around. I searched the cave and eventually found him. The rascal jumped with joy and then said,
You win, buddy. Here's your prize.
He then dropped me a golden apple. Wow, I sure was hungry, so I decided to eat the apple. To my surprise, I grew into a full-size sniffer. I even had 20 hearts. I thanked the rascal and asked him if he would like to return with me to my base.
Nah, dude. I prefer living in caves. All right, bye now.
Okay, it was worth a shot. On days 33 to 35, I returned to my base, and everyone was shocked to see me fully grown. I was also impressed to see that Miros had also grown into an adolescent himself. Wow, looks like everyone's been eating well. I walked up to Nina and started to talk to her about the pillagers. Listen, I tried to fight back, but they were still able to get the egg.
You did everything you could, Fozo.
She said that my interaction with the Ravager had given her an idea and suggested we convince them to join us in our fight against the Warden. That's a great idea. I think the first priority, though, should be getting the egg back, but I'm not sure I'm gonna be strong enough to do it.
You're much stronger than you think. You just...
She was interrupted by a group of pillager scouts attacking our base. I jumped into action and started to fight them off. I needed to defend my friends. With my new diamond sword, these guys were no chance. I took most of them out, but one started to run off. I chased after him, knowing he would give away our location. As I ran, I realized I had a better idea. On days 36 to 38, I continued to follow the pillager, hoping he would lead me to where the evoker took the egg. As I was following him, the warden appeared. This guy is always here to ruin my plans.
I will find where you're hiding. You will never defeat me.
Yeah? Well, a friend told me that I'm stronger than I think, and I think it's time I listen to her. I shot an arrow at him, and I can tell it made him mad. We began to fight. I could tell with my new sword, he was still far too strong. Wow, I had a diamond sword and still, it did nothing. Maybe Dr. Blocks knows something that could help me. I had bigger issues at the moment, though. I was starting to lose hearts. This gave me an idea. You want me? Well, come and get me. I started to run in the direction the pillager had been, hoping I would find where he was going.
Get back here, you coward!
On days 39 to 41, I spotted a massive woodland mansion and knew this was where the pillager had been running to. I ran past the Vindicators and turned back to see that the warden was fighting them.
You pests will pay for getting in my way!
This guy had some serious anger issues, but at least he was distracted for the time being. I started to search the rooms of the mansion and eventually found one that contained the sniffer egg. I grabbed the egg and turned to leave when I saw that the evoker was standing there right in my way.
You pesky sniffer! You will not escape me this time!
He summoned Vexes, and they began to attack me. I started to fight back against them and took them down. He continued to attack me himself. I can tell I was hurting him as much as he was hurting me. Suddenly, the Ravager appeared, and he started to attack the Evoker with me. Wait, you're helping me now? Together, we were able to take him down. Listen, I need to take this egg to my base, and you should join me. I don't think it's safe for you to stay here.
I don't really have much of a choice now.
Great. Well, come on before that Warden finds us. We started to make our way back home. On days 42 to 44, I returned to base. I realized I never caught your name. What is it?
It's Ronnie.
You're Ronnie the Ravager?
Yeah, is there something wrong?
No, nothing at all. I got to work constructing a house for Ronnie to live in. Once I was finished, I then made a structure for the egg. This fella is gonna need a place to live once they hatch. I was still in the building mood, so I decided to expand my house as well. It was starting to feel fit for an adult sniffer. Once I finished, I went to Dr. Blocks. Hey, do you know much about the Warden and what his possible weaknesses are? He explained to me that the Wardens were blind, but he had a great sense of hearing, making them easily distracted by noises. That makes so much more sense.
There may be some sort of weapon you could use to defeat him, but I have to do more research.
Well, while you do that, I think it's best I go and get some more upgrades. I started to search for diamonds, and after some time, I had enough to craft myself a pair of pants, as well as a helmet. I headed home to show off my shiny new armor. I returned to my base to show off my new armor, but before I could, I realized the Sniffer. It hatched. I rushed up to him. Hey, what's your name?
My name is Vannon. Where are we? This world is so different from when I last walked the earth.
Wait, what do you mean from when you last walked on Earth? He told me that he had memories of the past from when Sniffers weren't extinct.
Long ago, when Sniffers walked the earth, the Wardens became jealous that we had both sight and an enhanced sense of smell. The Wardens hunted us down and did our best to remove us from the world. We tried to fight back with powerful weapons, but we were overrun before they could be constructed. Any Sniffer that hadn't been converted to a Ravager was killed off.
Do you know anything else about these ancient weapons? Unfortunately, he didn't. Man, well, do you know a way that we can convert the Ravagers back to Sniffers?
It is possible, but I would require a very strong potion.
I remembered. Steve was working on potions using the ancient seeds. Wait, this can all be connected. I have to go find him, and fast. On days 48 to 50, I arrived at Steve's base. Hey, remember those potions? Have you made any progress on them? I finally found what they need to be used for. We can cure the Ravagers. Steve said that he made some progress with the brewing, but it was very advanced techniques, and he was not very experienced with it.
Maybe if you can get me some stuff from the Nether, it can help us cure what you're looking for.
He told me that he was gonna need some glowstone, as well as a few nether warts for the potion. Alright, I'm gonna need a way to get in though. He pointed me to the right direction, and I took his portal to the Nether. I then began to look for the items he asked for, and found all the glowstone Steve would need for his potions. I began to make my way back to the portal, but it was blocked by a group of piglins. What could they possibly want? As I approached them, they saw me and began to attack. I thought you guys were supposed to be neutral. I started to fight back, but was quickly being overrun by the number of piglins. They requested that I come with them now. Oh man, I had no choice but to surrender. On days 51 to 53, the piglins led me to their bastion and presented me to the king of piglins.
A sniffer in this world? I never thought I would see the day.
How does everyone seem to know who I am, but I don't know any of you guys?
I am sorry for the harm that you were caused by my men.
He continued to say that they had been patrolling this territory for a long time in search of ancient seeds. Apparently, they've gone missing too. In the wrong hands, these could be used to make devastatingly dangerous potions. They want to acquire them to keep them safe here. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
If you are able to locate these seeds, we will provide you safe passage back to the portal.
Okay, deal. I headed out with one of the piglins, who led me to the area they believed the seeds were. I started to sniff around, and after some searching, caught a scent. I followed it to a point in the ground and began digging. I uncovered the ancient seeds. The piglin was very happy to see them. I gave them to him, and he led me back to the portal, thanking me for his help.
I wonder what I can make with these.
I exited the portal at Steve's base and returned to where he was brewing the potions. I handed him the items I collected in the nether.
Hey, what took you so long?
Long story, but I hope this is everything you need to make the cure. Steve said it should be, but it was gonna take some time to brew. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thanks, Steve. I headed off back toward my base, and when I returned, Dr. Blocks was there waiting for me and said,
I was able to uncover more information about these ancient weapons.
he started to tell me that the 2 ancient weapons had been used by the Sniffers long ago. They were used to fight against the Wardens. So we actually could fight back against those guys? There was an obsidian forged sword, as well as a bow that was gifted to them by something that lived long ago.
If the bow is still intact, you can find it at this location.
He dropped me a map, and I thanked him for his help. As I was leaving base, Nina approached me and told me to be careful.
We all need to, Fozo.
Don't worry, Nina. I'll be safe. I promise. On days 57 to 59, I arrived at the location, and standing in front of me was a giant labyrinth. Whoa! Whatever I was looking for was on the other side of this. I began to wander through, hoping to find my way out. I had been traveling for some time when... Wait, I've seen this before? Am I going in circles? I was lost in this maze with no way out. I turned around to leave, but I realized I had lost all sense of direction.
Give up.
I heard a strange voice and looked around for the source. There was no one.
You are too weak to defeat anything, including the Warden. You need to just stop it and give up.
The labyrinth itself was talking to me? Oh man, I was terrified. What if what he's saying is true? What if I'm not strong enough? I mean, I already didn't feel like I was, especially to defeat that Warden.
You will never get out of here. Your species is doomed.
Is this place right? Was I gonna fail here and ruin my chances of survival for everyone? No.
You are much stronger than you think.
Believe, Fozo. I screamed out at the labyrinth. I will get through this place, and I will take out that Warden if it's the last thing I do, and nothing, including you, can stop me. There was no responses, but suddenly the floor lit up a path. I guess I need to follow it. On days 60 to 62, I made my way out of the maze and into a large open room. I began to search for the bow, and I heard a voice.
A sniffer? Back in my domain?
A colossal spider emerged in front of me. I was no longer afraid, though. Who are you? She was the queen, mother of all spiders that roamed Minecraft. She said that long ago, she had aided the Sniffers in their fight against the Wardens, but feared she hadn't done enough, and they failed.
I am impressed by your determination through my labyrinth and your compassion to help the others.
How were you alive to see all of that?
I am older than almost any of the mobs that you know today. I provided your ancestors with this. Take it.
She dropped me a bow and some arrows. I picked it up and noticed it was a web bow that could be used to slow down enemies. I thanked the queen of the spiders, and she wished me luck in my battle with the Warden. On days 63 to 65, I was on my way back to my base when I heard the distinct sounds of raid bells coming from a village. I rushed to the village and saw that it was swarmed with pillagers and ravagers. I took out my new bow and began to use it on them. Each time I shot the bow, a spider web would hit the target and slow it down. I heard the pillagers call out to the ravagers.
Hey, attack him, you stupid beasts!
The ravagers looked at me, didn't attack. I continued to fight back against the pillagers until they began to retreat. As they were fleeing, I saw one of the ravagers stop and look back at me. I wonder what he was thinking. The villagers thanked me for defending the village. Of course, you don't need to thank me. I hated those guys. To help them out even more, I decided to expand their farm and plant some of the ancient seeds I'd found. The villagers were very grateful for my help. To show their appreciation, they gave me an iron golem to bring to my base for protection.
Yeah, his name's Billy. Take Billy.
On days 66 to 68, I returned to base and noticed that everyone had been busy. The group had worked together, upgrading Dr. Blocks' lab. Whoa, look at that thing. Dr. Blocks told me that with the expanded lab, he was able to track down the other ancient weapons. Seriously? He said it was a sword that had been destroyed by the Warden, but
I believe I can rebuild it with the right materials. There is some special obsidian located in a mountain not too far from us now.
Thank you, Dr. Blocks. I don't know what I could do without you. I went over to check on everyone else. I showed Van the bow that I'd been given, and he was amazed to see it.
Yeah, I remember when that was used in battle. Almost turned the tides, too.
I went over to Nina and saw that she had grown into a full adult Sniffer.
I wanted to thank you for helping me. You make me feel safe in this scary world. I am so much less afraid because of how brave you are.
Well, thanks, Nina, but believe it or not, it was your encouragement that made me feel as strong as I do today. With my newfound confidence, I headed off toward the mountains. On days 69 to 71, I was on my way to the mountains when the Warden approached me and said,
The cowardly Sniffer, face me and perish.
I am not afraid of you anymore, especially when I have this. I took out the web bow and began to shoot the Warden with it. I can tell he remembered it and appeared to be frightened of it himself. While he was caught in the webs, I used my sword to attack him.
Where did you find that?
I refused to answer and just continued to attack. I was definitely weakening him, but I can tell that my sword was not gonna be enough. Finally, the Warden hit me straight up in the air. And I was stunned for a second upon landing. The Warden used this time to run off before I could trap him in the webs again. I wanted to chase after him, but I knew I'm gonna need that sword to defeat him. I continued on my journey to the mountains. I reached the mountains and headed into the cave entrance like Dr. Blocks had instructed me. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, but he said that I would know it when I saw it. As I was making my way further into the cave, I found a large vein of diamonds and stopped to mine them. With them, I was able to complete my armor set. I continued further into the cave and finally came to a spot that had this strange purple ore on the walls. This had to be the obsidian that Dr. Blocks told me about. I started to mine as much of it as I could. Once I had enough, I started to make my way toward the exit, but was stopped when I heard a noise coming from inside the cave. I began to follow the noise until I saw lava was pouring out of it. It was starting to rise towards me. I had to get out of the cave. I rushed to the exit and the lava was following right after me. I left the cave and headed home. On days 75 to 77, I made my way back to the base. I was very proud of myself. I mean, I wasn't even that scared of that lava, and I was able to escape all by myself. I handed the obsidian over to Dr. Blocks, and he was ecstatic to see what I collected.
That is excellent. I will begin working on the sword. I only need one more material to reconstruct it.
Before he could tell me where to find the material, Steve arrived at my base. I rushed over to him and asked him if he had been able to make the cure.
Yup, and I tested it out myself.
Oh, well, that's great news. Where is it? Steve looked at me and then started to explain as he finished the cure. His base was attacked by pillagers. He tried to fight back, but was overrun by all of them. He had to flee or risk dying. When he returned, the cure had been taken away. No, we needed that. Those pillagers are always ruining everything. Ronnie approached me and said that he knew where they would take this cure. Awesome, Ronnie. I'm gonna need that information. I grabbed some extra food and prepared to head out with him.
Can't go, Fozo. It's too dangerous.
Nina, I have no choice. I need to get this for everyone. I'll be safe. I headed off with Ronnie. On days 78 to 80, Ronnie led me to a massive structure. It was the pillager headquarters. Listen, Ronnie, there's no more hiding or running. We're gonna be going in head first. We rushed into the base and began a fight with pillagers. Ronnie and I took out a lot of the pillagers on our way inside and noticed that the other Ravagers looking at us. They must have been confused to see a Ravager and Sniffer fighting side by side with each other. We entered the building and I found the cure that Steven made. Okay, let's get out of here.
Wait, look what I found.
He dropped me a bunch of TNT and some flint and steel. I knew exactly what he wanted me to do. We went around the headquarters and dropped TNT everywhere. Okay, other Ravagers, you might want to follow us. Once everyone was a safe distance away, I ignited the TNT, destroying the pillagers' base and taking them out for good. I told the Ravagers why we were there and asked them if they wanted to come back to our base for the cure. Most of them accepted the offer. Great, guys, let's go home. We returned to base with the cure, and I was immediately approached by Nina, who said,
I'm so happy you're okay. I was worried something terrible might have happened to you.
No, of course not. I wouldn't let anything like that happen. I promise. I then went around and distributed the cure to all the Ravagers that wanted to be changed back into Sniffers. There were so many of us now. I was so proud that I've been able to save the species. Looks like we're all gonna make it. With all the new faces at my base, it was time to get to work. I got to work constructing everyone a house to live in. Once I was finished, Dr. Blocks approached me and started to explain that the last thing that he would need to construct was the sword.
There is a very old ore known as syncinacite. The Sniffers used this to forge the sword.
He told me that he found it in an area that he believed could hold some, but wasn't sure where it would be. He dropped me a map to the location. I was gonna head out, but it was getting dark. I'll set out in the morning. On days 86 to 90, I woke up and said goodbye to everyone before setting off to where I hoped the ore was. I arrived at the area and noticed there was nothing here. Wait, what? Dr. Blocks has never let me wrong this entire time, and it can't start now. I started to search the area. Still found nothing. Where could this possibly be? I thought back to something Vannon had told me days ago.
Sniffers buried things long ago to prevent them from being found by enemies.
That's it! They must have buried them here. I used my nose and concentrated really hard. Suddenly, I smelled something. Metallic? Okay, I started to dig up the dirt and found a strange yellow ore. This must be it. I started to mine as much of it as I could and then headed back toward my base. On days 91 and 94, I was back home, but it was destroyed. What happened here?
The Warden came and attacked while you were gone. I tried to fight him off, but he was too strong for me. The worst part is that he took...
Nina! No. Where is she? I had to get her back. I was about to rush off when Dr. Blocks approached me, calmed me down. He said there was enough time to save her and defeat the Warden, but I was gonna need that ancient sword. All right, well, here's the ore, but you need to hurry, okay? He ran off to his lab to finish the weapon. In the meantime, I had work to do. Miros and I went around and began to rebuild all the houses that had been destroyed from the Warden. As we were finishing, Dr. Blocks came out holding a massive sword made out of obsidian.
This is the Obsidian Claymore, the sword that was forged in order to defend the Sniffers from the Wardens. With this, you should be more than enough to take out that Warden.
I took the sword from Dr. Blocks and stormed off toward the ancient city, where I knew the Warden would be. On days 95 to 99, I arrived at the ancient city. All right, Warden, where are you?
Bozo, over here!
I saw Nina and quickly rushed to the cage. Oh my gosh, are you okay? I was so worried that something terrible happened to you.
I'm fine. I was scared at first, but I knew you would come to rescue me.
I was about to break Nina out of her cage when I heard the Warden roar behind me.
Ah, look at the two lovebirds. Time to die together.
The Warden rushed at me, but I pulled out the obsidian claymore. Oh, you're hesitating, huh? Are you scared? He must have recognized it from long ago. We began a fight, and every time I hit him with the sword, it was inflicting massive damage against him. The Warden turned and ran, but before he fled, he grabbed something from one of the chests and ran off. Oh man. Okay, I need to get you out of here, Nina. Come on. I broke Nina out, and together, we traveled outside of the city. Once back home, everyone was very excited to see us.
Bozo, you're so brave. I'm so happy you found me.
Of course, Nina. I'm just glad you're safe. But there's still one matter that we need to put our attention to. On day 100, I was woken up by a massive explosion at my base. I rushed outside and saw the Warden standing there.
I've been working on something, and I'm ready to unleash it.
He started to drink a potion, and he grew to a monstrous size. Oh man, was this possible? I realized the Warden must have found a way to take the fruit from the piglins. Oh great. The Warden began to use his sonic boom, and when it connected, it took away a bunch of my hearts. The potion not only increased his size, but his strength. I started to shoot webs at him to slow him down, and right after, I would rush at him with my sword. He hit me, and I went flying back into a building. I was starting to lose hope. I turned and saw Nina standing there. I jumped up and delivered a hit to the Warden, sending him backwards.
You can do it, Bozo. We all believe in you.
I felt inspired and continued to fight back against him. I will not give up. My species belongs in this world.
Pathetic, Sniffer. This world will forget about you in no time.
I charged at him and delivered a critical strike, reducing him to his regular size. No, that's when you're wrong, Warden. I do belong here. The world won't forget about us because we aren't going anywhere.
No, you were never supposed to get these weapons.
Unfortunately for you, I had a great team that helped me. I jumped at him and delivered the final hit, taking him down. I'd done it. The Sniffers would stay in Minecraft forever.